Well, that was a good time, wasn't it, TJ? Welcome to the Afterglow. We had a chance both to take a little road trip, go to Dr. Michael Gervais' office, the headquarters of Finding Mastery, to talk to him about his new book. We showed it on the screen. We recorded it in their creative space. The first rule of mastery: stop worrying about what other people think of you. TJ, you are a former athlete, former Oregon Duck. You sat in the room in a little bit of a different role than you traditionally do on these episodes, but for I think the second or third time with Dr. Michael Gervais. So what was your takeaway of the setting and the conversation, and what question do you want to wish that we asked Mike Gervais?
I love being in the room. It's just a different vibe, and you get it's just a different feel to the interview, and especially when it's Dr. Gervais, because he's literally a fountain of knowledge. Like, it's just amazing to hear his takes and to watch you two go. Like, realistically, this could have been like a 4-hour podcast. Like, you guys, there would have been easy to just let you guys go. And I'm checking my time. I'm like signaling you like, all right, we gotta cut it. But no, I mean, one of the things when we were doing research and kind of looking at the book and then listening to you talk, one of the things that he talked about especially in the book, and he talks about living in the moment, and he talks about like pouring everything, and he said this in past interviews as well, like pouring everything into said moment, and how that's the way you should live, is just really focusing at where you're at right now. And I was thinking about that, and I love that, and that's something that I constantly try to work on, is really living in the moment, not worrying about what's going on outside, especially like when I'm with a bunch of people that I haven't seen in a long time or stuff like that. My question though is, what's the balance? Like, if you're always only living in the moment, like, there are external things you need to be thinking about in the future. You need to be looking at ahead of time and scheduling and preparing and stuff like that. So like, what's the balance of living in the moment and then not getting stuck in the moment and not focusing like on stuff down the line?
Such a good question. So I'll do my best Dr. Michael Gervais impersonation here, because you're right. Let's just look at the Pac-12. How hard has it been for you or our colleagues to stay in the moment, ever present, this season?
Yeah.
On one hand, not that hard, because these games have been amazing. Yeah. On the other hand, you know a final date. You know that this league, as we know it, is coming into a finality. Yep. Right? That's the open of this show. How do you not look towards the future? We all are, right? You, me, this show. What are we going to do moving forward when the so-called curtain comes down on this league? And my answer is that if you are truly connected to the moment, and this is a lot of the stuff that Mike and I have talked about for almost 2 decades now, of if you really can connect to the moment, then you recognize that no two moments are alike, and that life is also moving, as is that present moment. So you can't get stuck in the moment because the moment's moving. So I would say that. Okay. So let's just take our situation as well. Yeah. How do we navigate looking towards our future, but enjoying and not missing this glorious season that the Pac-12 was? Yeah. That this postseason can be. Well, I really believe you have to commit to connecting to that present moment. And in that moment, I might be planning out my future, right? TJ is going to be planning out his future. You listening might be planning out your future. That's being connected to the moment. And then in that very next moment, you might be calling somebody saying, hey, I'm really interested in this production job or this on-air job, or calling these games. And I think that's the point of it, versus, oh my God, how are we going to pay for a mortgage? What am I going to do in 6 months? What's going to happen next football season? That to me is something that, when we live way down the line in that regard, we know we have no control over it. But that's the monkey mind that is often referenced in a lot of the works that Dr. Gervais has produced. And that is a challenge. I think that's a discipline. I truly do. And man, is it hard, especially when it's so personal. So I'm with you, man. I mean, it's like an athlete. I want to go focus and play in the championship game. I want to go play in next year's expanded college football playoff. Cool. But to do that, I better work out great today. I better study great today. I better sleep today to be ready tomorrow, to be ready on Saturday 6 months from now. Like, I think that is the mind games that you almost have to play on yourself. So that's how I would answer that.
No, I like that. That's a great way to think about it. I think my favorite line, that entire thought was on the spot, fantastic. I think my favorite line was, the moment's always moving, so you're never actually stuck in the moment. I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great way to think about that, because you're right. Like, everything's always constantly evolving. So yeah, and I mean, that was just one little piece of, we could sit here and make this another 3 hour afterglow with all the questions that I have with it. It was awesome. And just like the idea of FOPO, of fear of other people's opinions. I think that applies to so many people. And for this show and this podcast specifically, like, I think it really applies a lot to athletes, because there are so many opinions that are put on you, and especially when you look at football. Like, you have everyone on social media and everyone like talking to you about, oh, you should have this playing time and this, and then at the same time, like, you talk to him about, like, well, your coach's opinion matters because that's who's playing you. So it's like, all right, how do you not worry about that, but still like make sure you're cognizant of it, and then not let it affect you too much. Like, the book was awesome. Your guys' conversation addressed a lot of it, and could addressed it chapter by chapter, but that editing would have been real painful. So I'm glad we didn't do that.
Yeah.
But no, I had a blast with this one. This was great.
You know what stood out to me, because I've been gifting this book on the road
Mm-hmm.
to coaches throughout the end of the season. Once we did the interview basically in early November.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the pieces of feedback was like, oh my God, this book is so good. Yes, stop worrying about, as I look at the cover, stop worrying about what other people think of you. Get it, totally. And one comment was, but we still do. Because that's kind of the profession. And
Yeah.
I think there's some truth to that, of like, let's look at you and I. Like, somebody is gonna greenlight the next iteration of this show.
Mm-hmm.
And we need their opinion to be very positive of
Mm-hmm.
this show. And on one hand, we can worry about that. Oh my God, are they going to like it? Do they like the clips? Do they like the ratings? Oh my God, there's a negative rating. Well, we can worry about that. Or we can say and be confident in. And this is what I took away. I walked out of Mike's office that day with a tremendous clarity on the finality of this season. And I had the best month of my career, I think, headspace wise, because it was like, dude, I'm gonna feel really strong about the preparation I put in moment by moment for this crap. I'm gonna feel really good about when I'm in the booth calling these games. I'm gonna feel great about these interviews that we get to do on this podcast platform. And God, I hope you love it.
Yeah.
And here's all the materials, Executive A. I hope you dig it.
Mm-hmm.
I do. And there's a lot of other people that do.
Mm-hmm.
Period. ... And if you don't, okay.
Yeah.
If you don't, okay. Like, but I can't worry about if you do or you don't. I hope you do. And that's like where I've navigated that in my brain of like, put our best work forward, right? Best analytical work as a college football broadcaster. I feel like my work can stand up against anybody's on its own, or alongside anybody's on its own. And now it's up to an executive to say, yeah, I think so too. Or no, but I can't worry about their opinions. And I think it's really hard in the creative space as an artist, as a performer, as a host, as an whatever, as a producer, as an analyst. Like, you can worry what they think. And I think the biggest takeaway, at least I had from the book, was like, don't even concern yourself with it.
Yeah.
Not even let it go. Just don't even concern yourself with it, and hope for the best. And if it comes, great. And if not, okay. And that's it.
No, you're spot on. That's perfect. And we're not at the end of the year yet, so we're not doing our like thoughts on the year / what we're looking to next year, word of the year type stuff. But like, I don't know if this is cheating, but I might be stealing this for what I'm working on for next year, because I absolutely love that, of like how the coach is like, but we still do, and it's but you're like, but like, just don't, like, just you can still be cognizant of it, but like, if you put your best effort, just be happy with that and not worried about, you're like, someone out there is gonna agree with you and be on board. So just do what you can, and kind of I don't know if it's necessarily a cliche line, but like, control the controllables. Worry about what you can control, and whatever else, like, there's really not a lot of reason to worry about it.
Yeah, well said. All right, to put a bow on this, because the afterglow could be as long as the episode. It was really fun. TJ, I hope you didn't edit too much out. If you did, let's just throw it on YouTube. Whatever. No wasted material from this Mike Gervais episode. And I do think that in the world of sport, we often hear control the controllables. And I think that that's an easy phrase to say. It's extremely challenging to live it. This book, The First Rule of Mastery, Stop Worrying About What Other People Think of You, otherwise known as FOPO, the fear of other people's opinions, will give you so many tools to actually actualize that statement. So I hope all the coaches, players who listen to this get this book. Almost as important, if not even more importantly, the parents of the people listening to this book, go get the book. Arm yourself to try to stay half a step away from your child in any sport at any level. And of course, to Mike Gervais' team, everybody there, thank you for allowing us to come into your facility and supporting us with the materials. And Mike, you know the deal, man. I don't have to say it, but I will. I love you, appreciate the constant support and content to the community that you have and the one we built here. Much love, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed the season, the postseason, and here comes bowl season.